High frequency ventilation High frequency ventilation is an advanced mode of ventilation where small tidal volumes lesser than anatomical dead space are delivered at a very high frequency of 3 to 15 Hz. In essence, we provide a constant distending pressure with a chest wiggle using high frequency ventilation. As we know from our previous lectures, in controlled mandatory ventilation, the pressure remains constant and the flow is variable in pressure controlled breaths. In high frequency ventilation, we observe that the breaths are delivered at a high frequency at small tidal volumes. The mean airway pressure achieved using a high frequency ventilator is higher when compared to controlled mandatory ventilation. High frequency ventilation is essentially a sinusoidal waveform. It generates a mean airway pressure needed for oxygenation, and delta swings above and below the mean airway pressure denotes the amplitude, and the cycle time is denoted by the frequency. The area under the curve denotes the tidal volume of a single breath. In a conventional mode of ventilation, as pressure increases, volume increases. But in extreme states, it can lead on to over-distension, or when the lung is underinflated, it can lead on to atelectasis. Both HFOV and APRV function in the mid-range or in the compliant portion of the PV loop, thus facilitating adequate oxygenation by avoiding over-distension and atelectasis. Theoretically, provision of a constant distending pressure can prevent atelectotrauma, small tidal volumes can prevent volutrauma, and small delta swings can prevent barotrauma. Another key feature of high frequency that differs from conventional ventilation is that oxygenation and ventilation are uncoupled. There are several mechanisms by which gas exchange can occur in a HFOV. In larger airways or proximal airways, the major mechanism is convection, and in smaller airway and alveoli it is diffusion. In the proximal airways, majority of gas exchange occurs by bulk flow or direct ventilation. As it passes through smaller alveoli, asymmetric velocity profile is noted, wherein the central column of gas tends to have a higher velocity when compared to the peripheral column of gas. This facilitates increased movement of gas towards the alveoli. Another important feature is the difference between compliant and non-compliant alveoli, where as the non-compliant alveoli with a shorter time constant fills quickly, air tends to swing into the compliant zone by a phenomenon of pendulum. This facilitates gas exchange between alveoli with variable time constants. Also, there are small pores of Kohn through which ventilation can occur between the alveoli called collateral ventilation. As air column moves from proximal to distal airway, it is important to understand that the mean airway pressure tends to be lower with HFOV in the distal airways when compared to conventional ventilation. This filtration effect or pressure dissipation may play an important role in reducing ventilator-induced lung injuries. The common scenario where high-frequency ventilation is indicated include those who are difficult to oxygenate, difficult to ventilate, and when we try to reduce the ventilator-induced lung injury. The common indications include ARDS or HMD as a rescue mode of ventilation, in pulmonary artery hypertension or persistent pulmonary hypertension of newborns, in meconium aspiration syndrome, in pulmonary air leaks, pulmonary hemorrhage, and in pulmonary hyperplasia and diaphragmatic hernias as a bridge therapy before definitive surgery. There are several types of high-frequency ventilation, which include high-frequency oscillatory ventilation, high-frequency positive pressure ventilation, high-frequency flow interrupters, and high-frequency jet ventilation. There are differences between these types of ventilation. However, in this lecture, we will stick on to high frequency oscillatory ventilation. There are several brands which provide high frequency oscillatory ventilation. They include Sensormedics, Draeger Babylog, SLE 5000, Sophie and many others. This is a prototype of Sensormedic oscillator which provides breath at very high frequency. The key variables of high frequency machine includes a bias flow, mean airway pressure, amplitude, frequency and inspiratory time. Bias flow delivers a constant flow of gas in the circuit. It provides oxygen and removes carbon dioxide. It generates the mean airway pressure. It can be adjusted using the knob in the panel. The initial flow is set at 20 liters per minute and it can be maximized up to 60 liters per minute. Mean airway pressure denotes the constant pressure that is delivered in the circuit. It can be changed by adjusting the pressure knob or increasing the bias flow. It is usually set at 3 to 5 centimeters above the conventional mean airway pressure. In air leaks, we set a similar mean airway pressure with a higher FiO2 to avoid further air leaks. Amplitude is the distance that the diaphragm or the piston moves during a breath cycle. It sets the P-swing around the mean airway pressure. It can be adjusted by the power knob. Amplitude is usually set at twice the mean airway pressure on an HFOV. Too low amplitude can result in underventilation and too high can result in volutrauma. The adequacy of amplitude is assessed by chest wiggle factor. Clinically, one should have adequate chest wiggle up to the level of umbilicus in infants, up to pubic symphysis in children and up to mid-thigh in adults. It is always important to correlate with CO2 levels and close observation is the key and early titration is needed with blood gas analysis and chest X-ray. Frequency is measured in Hertz. 1 Hertz corresponds to 1 cycle per second, that is 60 breaths per minute. Ideally, the frequency of the ventilator need to match the resonance frequency of the system. Frequency is inversely related to the volume displacement. A lower age or weight will require higher frequency and lower chest and lung compliance will require higher frequency. Roughly, neonates require a frequency range from 10 to 15, children between 8 and 10 and adults between 6 and 8. A key concept to be understood is the difference in minute ventilation in control mandatory and high frequency ventilation. In control modes, minute ventilation is given by the product of respiratory rate and tidal volume. In high frequency, it is given by the product of frequency and square of tidal volume. As frequency decreases, the total cycle time increases. This results in an increase in the duration of piston force and thereby increases the tidal volume. Since an increase in tidal volume corresponds to better CO2 clearance, counterintuitive to conventional ventilation, a decrease in frequency tends to increase carbon dioxide clearance in high frequency ventilation. Let us try to understand this further. The area under the curve denotes the stroke volume or the tidal volume. In conditions where we want to increase the amplitude of the breath cycle, the area under the curve also increases, thereby increasing the tidal volume. When we decrease the frequency from 8 Hz to 6 Hz, we see that the total cycle time increases. Thus, the area under the curve also increases, meaning increase in tidal volume. Thus, tidal volume increases with increase in amplitude or when frequency decreases due to longer cycle time. Inspiratory time is similar to conventional mode of ventilation and ratio of 1:2 is preferred. It is given by a percentage as 33 to 50%. One rarely need to go to 50% in cases of severe oxygenation defects despite correcting other variables. Among these variables, mean airway pressure and FiO2 control oxygenation and amplitude and frequency control ventilation. Thus, oxygenation and ventilation to a certain extent gets uncoupled. The initial setting of a high-frequency oscillatory ventilation depends on the size of a patient, power of the ventilator, and the disease state. The usual setting is a MAP of 25 to 30, amplitude of 50 to 60, and a frequency of 8 to 12 Hz with an I time of 33%, and FiO2 is usually begun at 100%. Before starting HFOV, we should ensure that the machine is set, the indication is met, and we should ensure that the largest possible cuff tube is placed in position and patent with inline suction, and the patient should be well sedated or paralyzed. It is important to use stiff tubings without any kinks. There should be adequate water column in the humidifier to avoid compressible volume loss. We need to avoid condensation in the circuit, and before connecting the patient, the ET tube has to be clamped. We need to set the alarms appropriately before connecting the patient to a ventilator. After connecting a patient to a ventilator, if there is defective oxygenation, it can be related to low mean airway pressure, a very slow increase in mean airway pressure, or an inappropriate premature reduction in mean airway pressure. In such cases, an increase in mean airway pressure or an increase in FiO2 and sometimes alveolar recruitment maneuver may be needed. Recruitment can be done either as sustained inflation or a stepwise increase in MAP till FiO2 starts decreasing. In conditions of hypercarbia, we need to adjust the amplitude to an appropriate maximum level. If there is persistent hypercarbia, frequency and I time need to be adjusted. Hypotension is common in high-frequency ventilation as high positive intrathoracic pressure is generated, which decreases the venous return to heart. In such conditions, reduction in mean airway pressure, giving a guarded fluid bolus and use of vasopressors may be needed. On HFOV, if there is sudden desaturation with loss of chest wiggle, one need to consider displacement, obstruction, and equipment failure in addition to pneumothorax. Air leaks are common, and especially if the patient has asymmetric chest rise or asymmetric air entry, we need to consider air leak. Weaning from HFOV is considered when the lung pathology is resolving, we have achieved a stable mean airway pressure, blood gas analysis is satisfactory. One should start weaning the FiO2 first. Start reducing MAP in sequences of 1 to 2 centimeters to a MAP of 8 to 10 centimeters of water. Gradually wean the amplitude as well. Swap to conventional mode of ventilation when the MAP is 8 to 10 centimeters of water and amplitude is 20 to 25. The key differences of HFOV include delivery of breaths at a very high rate of 180 to 900 breaths per minute at very small tidal volumes of 0.1 to 3 ml per kg with minimal pressure swings and active exhalation. The oxygenation is controlled by mean airway pressure and FiO2 in HFOV, whereas it depends on FiO2 and PEEP in conventional ventilation. Ventilation or removal of CO2 is primarily dependent on the amplitude and frequency. In summary, HFOV is predominantly used as a rescue modality of ventilation. Knowledge of settings is important. Care should be taken to avoid complications. Close monitoring and titration of settings by the bedside is essential. If you like these videos, follow us for more updates.